Hi, I'm Alice von Simpson with Dinair, and today I'm going to show you how to put your airbrush back together if you've accidentally taken it apart. Now I say accidentally because thanks to our new invention, these power cleaning caps, it's easy to squeeze cleaner through the airbrush, giving it a like new clean every day. So as I guess you hadn't heard of our brand new cleaning caps, I'm going to get you out of trouble and show you how to put your airbrush back together. So this may look familiar to you, a big scary mess. Well, I'm going to just lay this out a little bit so that it makes more sense. Now, if you're doing this at home, I would suggest maybe doing it over a plate or at least a tablecloth, definitely not over an open sink. And there we go, it looks a little bit less frightening already. So we're going to start off with our lever and our little back lever here, so let's put them into a group. Then we have our needle and chucking nut, that's our needle group right there. We have these three little parts, our spring group, there we go. And at the front of the airbrush here, you can see these three pieces, they make up our nozzle group. Our first step is going to be to put our lever back into the airbrush. So you'll notice that the lever looks a bit like a bicycle seat. It's higher in the back than the front. And that's because if you didn't have this little rubber grip on, it would help stop your finger slipping. So the other thing that's going to help you if you have lost your grip is these little stripes here in the metal. Now they face toward the front there. So make sure you do get your lever in the right way around. It's a little bit fiddly and you don't want to be doing it twice. And we're in. Okay. The next piece we're going to get is our little back lever. Now this one curves like a little ice cream scoop. And we want the curve to be facing the back. And then we have to turn it to get it in right here. So get it right there and then turn it around and just drop that in there. We are now going to work on our spring group, these three pieces. Take the long piece, slot the spring over the top, cover on top of that, and then we're going to put it into the back of our airbrush. Turn it until it just slots in comfortably, and when you feel that sweet spot, we're just going to thread it into the back there. So next is going to be our nozzle group. We're going to start with the nozzle itself here, this little pointy part. We're going to slot it in here, and you might have to wiggle it around a little bit to find the right spot. You there yet? Yep. Okay, so it's feeling good in there. Then we get our nozzle cap. This threads over the top of that right there. And then last is our little regulator cap, which goes right on the very front here. And that's one more group down. So your needle is going to go through all of the parts that you've just put together. And you don't need to do this at home, but I'm just going to take that little regulator cap back off so that you can see it. Okay, there we are. Now give your lever a little bit of a wiggle before you start, just to make sure it's all the way down. And then we're going to put the needle in the back there. And again, if it gets stuck, just give it another little wiggle there so that it can go all the way through all of these parts that you've just put together. And you should see it coming out the tip there. Perfect. So now I'm going to show you the next part to finish off this group. This is our gold needle nut. This is going to go right over the needle and thread on here. There we go. Now to make sure that you've got it on right and you've got that chucking nut tight enough, I just want you to pull back on the lever and that needle in the front should disappear. There we go. Perfect. So before we put our regulator cap back on, I'm going to tell you 3 chucking nut stories, and all of them have really easy fixes. The first is that you're spraying away and no makeup is coming out. Now that means that your chucking nut is actually too loose. As you can see, when it's too loose, you're pulling back on the lever, but the needle is not moving. So you can see the chucking nut moving back and forth there, but the needle is not going anywhere and no makeup is allowed out. All you need to do to fix that is just to tighten it up right here. Our second gold nut story is that you're having makeup spraying all over the place and you've got no control. This means that your needle was not pushed all the way forward when you tightened up that gold nut. So what I want you to do is loosen the gold nut again, reposition that needle so that you can see it coming out the end there, tighten it all up, and you are good to go. So our third nut story is that it's tight, but it's in the wrong place, and that's because it's jumped back while you were airbrushing. So you can see, I'll recreate that here. I pull it back and tighten it. And what happens? You get a floppy lever and you can't do any work. So what I need you to do in this case is undo that gold nut again, make sure everything's forward and in the right place, and then just tighten it up. And like I said before, it has to be really pretty tight. There we are. So I'm just going to put our regulator cap back on there. This is important because it protects our nozzle and our needle in case we drop our airbrush. And then the last thing I'm going to do, and this is going to close the chapter on our loose nut stories, is I'm going to put the handle on the back of the airbrush. And this is the moment that you can give yourself a big pat on the back because you have successfully put your airbrush back together.